Today's episode is sponsored by Aster Lyra. Is your band or other musical project in need of mixing and mastering? With experience in a wide range of styles varying from screamo and emo to alt country and synthwave, Aster Lyra's breadth of knowledge is everything you need to bring your project to life. She's done mix and mastering work on her own band Daisy Gold, as well as the debut single from Breathing Lessons, which you're hearing now. She's also mastered the new album Pinnacle Hill by Comfort Object, and others. And to top all that off, if you're local to Michigan, you can even hit her up to book a recording session. Contact Aster Lyra on IG at DaisyGoldMI, that's DAISYGOLDMI, or via email at asterlyra1312@gmail.com. That's ASTERLYRA1312@gmail.com for more info. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to sign up and read zines, get music sneak peeks, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing Kaysar by Bleeder, featuring my new pal Sophie on drums. The song is from an upcoming release, so stay tuned to their Bandcamp for more.
Don't know what's right, what's wrong. Pick up the half-mile. They're running out of God.
I don't know that there was like one specific catalyzing event that got me into like, this is what I need to be doing with my life is music. It kind of always was. I was brought up. I'm very much not a Christian or affiliated with religion now, but I was raised in like a super conservative household. My dad was a worship minister. So from a really, really young age, all of us were like kind of handed an instrument and been like, okay, like this is your thing because I need a kid to learn guitar, or like, okay, I need a kid to learn drums now or whatever. So ever since I was old enough to play drums, I was playing it in church and playing it with friends and with my siblings. I'd say that the time that I realized that, like this is what I want to spend the majority of my life on, more than anything else that I'm putting work and focus into, is probably in the more recent years of, like 5 years ago or so, when I started joining bands that actually got gigs or actually started performing. But music and performing music has kind of always been a really big interest of mine. First being like sort of forced into it, but also just having a natural love for it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when you were, like you said, you said more or less forced into it, like it was like thrust upon you in that way. It had to be like, there had to be a sort of like you realized, hey, this is something that like makes me not desirable. That's not the right word, but like it makes me cool in other people's eyes, right? Like that you could.
Yeah, totally.
So did you feel like that was a shortcut for you to being like social, like when you were a kid? Because that's where, like, a lot of us in punk, like, we end up here because we feel really antisocial. So was it different for you in that respect?
Um, I guess sort of, but I mean it's kind of both. Because I was, so like growing up and learning music, I was like homeschooled and super socially ostracized. I didn't really have internet until I was like 14 or 15, even though like, I'm in my 20s. Um, but so yeah, like it was a way to connect and get sort of like uh like I don't know if social gratification is like the word, but like from my siblings and stuff, being able to jam with them and earning respect from them in that way, being like, oh,
Hmm.
that sounded cool. I like playing music with you. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I've like made it. And then eventually like in high school making friends. That was one of the main ways. And like be it like musical theater and doing music in that way, or like choir, or yeah, like jamming with other friends who were musicians. That kind of was like the main way that I socially interacted with people.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know how much of it was like, oh, this is something that makes me cool, but it definitely always was something that made me connect with people.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I asked that question before the homeschooling part really clicked for me, and then I'm like, oh, so you have this other thing. Like we all have this feeling of ostracis being ostracized, and and it's got to come from somewhere, right? So yours weren't like the typical, like, where you are in school and people treat you like you're different, and then there's this thing where people are like, oh wait, this person's kind of cool. Like, it was this other, it was just kind of coming from the other way around, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
yeah. um
yeah. I just didn't have many people around me at all.
yeah.
But
S-
yeah.
we're, Now you said that the drums were it was like, I need someone to learn how to play drums. So were drums presented to you as like, this is what you're going to do, or were you given like a choice? Oh, that speaking of drums, were you given a choice, like, and you chose drums, or like, was there something about the drums that spoke to you specifically, or was it like that's what you ended up doing? So it's just like, no, this is cool enough, I like this.
It kind of like, fortunately in a way, was both of those things.
Okay.
Because if somebody asked when I started drumming, I guess the technical answer is like six. But uh, my dad had a drum kit, and I always liked to just like bang around on it a lot. And none of my other siblings had picked up the drums. So it was sort of allowed that it was like, oh, okay, great. Like, this fills the niche that I needed somebody to fill already. Because my dad was really focused on like building out a band. So I think some of my other siblings with their instruments might have been like thrust upon them. I know that my sister growing up like played violin and played bass. My dad discouraged that because my brother already played bass, so he was like, "Well, I already have a bass player. You should play this other thing." But I was drawn to drums from an early age, and thankfully that role just hadn't been filled yet.
Yeah.
But from that point on, then it was kind of like, yeah, okay, well, I guess since you're playing with this is your thing now, and you should get good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that like your dad teaching you how, like, or did you get like lessons from outside? Like, six
Yeah,
is pretty young to just be like, I'm just gonna do this, like, I'm gonna learn this by myself. But I mean, it has been done, obviously. But
yeah. Uh, it was all self-taught. I mean, like, my dad gave me pointers and stuff, but no, I never had any like formal lessons with anybody. I think in recent years, I've sat down with a couple people because I'm like, okay, like, I've never had a lesson. I really need to figure out if my technique is even correct, and like, I know that there's some stuff I need to fix. Um, but yeah, from like 6 to 12 was really just me like banging around on it and just kind of having fun with it, and figuring it out on my own. And then once I got a little bit older, then my dad started giving me like a little bit of pointers on it. But it was all, yeah, pretty much mostly self-taught, which I guess is why I'm now at this point of being like, wow, I hold my sticks wrong. Like, man, maybe I should practice my rudiments. Could be good.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Like I would not know if I was holding my sticks wrong. I wouldn't like I hear people in little like YouTube videos or whatever. Like I hear like people in passing they say things about like oh what's like I'm probably going to get the term wrong, but like the economy of like the that's not it. Like basically they're talking about the ergonomics, you know, of like the way you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
your kit set up and the way that your posture is and things like that. And I can't remember like the term that I've heard when they're talking about that. And I'm just like I see pictures of myself like behind the drum kit and I'm like I look like I look like a an Elden Ring prawn, like just like
yeah,
hunched and like and everything looks like it's somebody just threw it and wherever it lands, that's where it gets played, and
yeah,
so I'm like, yeah, I have sort of been at different points like I wonder if I like actually be a lot better if I like was doing this the quote unquote right way, but then
yeah,
at the same time you see like there's like I don't know this person's name, but there's like this one like there's this one drummer from like somewhere in Southeast Asia, I can't remember exactly where, and they play like with they play with like a crash that's like literally like 6 feet in the air. They practically have to jump to hit it, and they like play like some of the like fastest blasts and stuff that I've like ever heard. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of this shit matters in the end,
yeah. I guess each their own. They'll figure it out. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, you know, yeah, it's kind of one of those things, where it's like yeah, there's plenty of history of like metal singers and stuff that just like drank like whole bottles of like alcohol every night and did like massive amounts of drugs and like sang like just like the wildest like vocal ranges possible. And then
yeah,
there's like on the other hand like I feel like at this point I can't do anything unless I do like warm-ups and stuff. So it's like
I've got
there
like one cup of tea and honey, and yeah,
yeah, it's like it's got to be just one of those things where it's like y- you're you train your body to get used to whatever it is that you put it through, and it's not until you start changing those routines that your body says, "Hey, wait, like this isn't right," and then like eventually your body probably will settle into those new routines and stuff, but it's like I don't know, like
yeah,
this is all like super like this is like not based on any kind of like science or whatever, but the whole like this it reminds me of the whole like if you study drunk you have to take the test drunk like situation, like
yeah,
yeah, like don't change your routine out of
yeah.
nowhere or else
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so what were you teaching yourself to like at the time? Like what kind of songs and stuff were you like putting on to like sort of play along with where you were like initially like getting the hang of like basic beats and stuff like that?
Yeah. So a lot of it was just like jamming with my siblings. I had a brother who played bass and a older sibling who played guitar. Um, and like little family bands type of things, and they'd be like, "Oh, you should be doing this sort of boom boom ta toot,"
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing. Um, but early on, I think I probably drummed the most to like like the Killers and Young the Giant, like a bunch of indie bands.
Okay.
Um, and uh, and like as a kid, I think my first foray into like pop punk was like Christian band named Reliant K, or like my first foray into metal was Christian band called Skillet, and like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, mostly just like playing along with some of the music that my siblings would show me, that they had on their computers, or just like jamming along with them and them being like, "Hey, this sounds bad. Like you should try doing this instead."
Yeah. It's funny too because like you sound like you sound like that you took that and ran with it and it was constructive to you, but like historically, drummers are very famous for absolutely loving having like guitar players tell them what they should be playing, um,
Yeah,
like maybe now it's a different story, but like yeah, at the time it's kind of like, okay, this person knows a bit more about just music in general than I do, so I should take this advice and see where it goes. Yeah, I did not know that. I didn't. I I don't. I'm not like super familiar with like the Killers or Reliant K or Skillet. I have heard all those bands. I I couldn't tell you like a song offhand, right? But I did not know that two of those were like Christian bands either. But
oh yeah,
I was gonna say that for sure, like indie rock bands, like drummers are like often it's like because they're generally speaking not the focal point of the music, like people like look them over like they are not like some of the beastliest drummers like out there. You like
yeah,
I've taught like
yeah. That's not.
I've
Oh,
talked
sorry.
about it
Yeah,
before, but like Matt Tong from Block Party, right? The first Block Party
mhm.
drummer, like just bonkers drummer, like
Yeah,
so fast. Like for it's like you don't it doesn't click to you how fast it is because the song is just like dootin dot and dootin dot, but it's like everything is like hammered out with the right hand. It's everything is and like
yeah,
like when you sit down and you actually try to play along with some of that, you're like, I was just playing like Full of Hell songs like 5 minutes ago, and this is
hmm
difficult. Like, not that I can play like all Full of Hell songs. I was playing an easy one. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's I don't know, like just like some really slept on drumming and like indie rock, and guitar playing,
yeah.
honestly, like, but yeah, like so you started getting into like your own stuff or like stuff that your siblings would have like and show you like from like downloading stuff and things like that. Is that like sort of when you started like I'm gonna try to form a band that like plays shows and things like that and like writes our own songs and stuff like that, or
Yeah, yeah. Well, so like my siblings started introducing me to more, well, I'm talking back in like middle school, but like secular in quotation marks music. I got super into Paramore growing up because of my older sibling. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, like when I grow up and I when I'm a big kid, I'm gonna start doing this shit, and I'm gonna be so rich and famous and alpha music. Um, but yeah, for the first like several years of doing music in like high school and college, a lot of it, and it still kind of is just being friends with, in my opinion, like phenomenal musicians, and just being like, oh great, like if you want me to drum for you, I can just ride your coattails because I'm like really, I really like whatever you guys are doing. Like I really fuck with this, and I would love to drum for it. Um, so up until like this year, really, there hasn't been a lot of projects that I would call like specifically mine. Like, oh, I really want to start doing this type of thing, and like make this type of music and writing these types of tunes. Um, but
yeah.
yeah,
As a drummer, you have that like I don't know, like luxury is not the right word, but that's available to you to just be like
yeah,
people are gonna ask, if they
Yeah,
know.
it's easy to fall into a support role and just be
Yeah,
like, yeah, I can just support for this and still like get a lot of fulfillment and joy out of it. Yeah.
yeah, because you know there is oftentimes an expectation of what you're gonna do behind the kit, but at the same time, like more than like playing bass, like a lot of times, like there's so much more. You have so much more room to like spread your wings, if for lack of a better word, like because yeah, okay, so somebody wants you to just sort of hit the like, dootin' dottin' dootin', but like as far as like fills and how you vary that from like part to part, like it's way there's way more freedom than just like,
Yeah.
well, you have to more or less like do, go along with what I'm doing, like
Yeah.
you do, but you don't, I don't know. So yeah, I don't,
No, yeah, that's like definitely something that I really enjoy, especially with people who like don't have as much experience with like drumming or whatever. Um, but they'll be like, okay, I wrote this song and I want the drums to be like, like straightforward and you'll be hitting like the ride cymbal, I guess, and doing this sort of beat through it. And I'll be like, okay, cool. So I like know the bones of like how you want it to feel. And then, I get more comfortable with it and like mess around with it and make it sort of like my own voicing. And then they're like, oh, I don't know what you were doing, but like that was great. Yeah, just do that.
yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's always a lot of fun.
Tell me who I can talk to, tell me who I can meet. Teach me how to behave, tell me who I'm supposed to be. Pick out all of my outfits, embarrass me with your friends. Tell me that I'm your girl, I'm not your means to an end. Does it get you high when you drop another power tip? You think I'm your soul, but I can tell you're full of shit. I hope you crash and burn and rock hell and everybody sees it. When your motherfucking garbage doesn't mean you on your power trip. Tell me to sit and heal, treat me like I'm your
Like I've done plenty of projects where like I wrote like I wrote the drums to a song before there was like an actual song. Like I've done plenty of that, but I've only done one time where it was like here's some guitars like and do some drums. Like usually like I'll wind up the drummer in a band where like I actually like wrote the guitars and stuff like that. So like I never it's been like very few like instances where like I've played drums to someone else's songs, and every time I've been able to do that, I'm like, this is like really cool in a way that like, excuse me, like it's really cool to like to have written the song and write your drums like specifically like for how your guitars did and whatever, like it's always really cool to just like play drums in a band. I'm not trying to say, but it's like there's something like it's like I don't know, it's like relaxing or something in a way that like sometimes it isn't, where it's just like you're just like yeah, like I'm invested in this because I like these songs and I like playing these songs and I'm going to do my own thing. But like, I didn't have to come up with all this. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
like, I don't know. And I'm always like my time is like, I don't have like the opportunity to go and play like a bunch of shows like I did, even a few years ago. But like, I was always like, I would love to just like play drums in a band where like I didn't write any of the songs. I just showed up and the guitar player was like, so here's the song. And I'm like, cool, like that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, it's fun to have both of those things. I think with Bleeder more so I've been able to like, like some of the songs I've written myself. All of the drum parts pretty much I've written myself. Bonnie, our vocalist, is a drummer, so there's been like a couple, especially on the upcoming album, where she's like, okay, I have like some ideas for what you should do. But for the most part, it's been my own thing. But then like previous projects was a lot of that, of other people being like, okay, I have this song written out, like the whole thing's finished, but I just need you to sit down on drums. And I was like, yeah, great, like absolutely. And it's always a blast doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to do, like have both of those experiences.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like there can be a lot of like in between those as well, where it's like, well, like I have this song like and it's like this and like I don't know the first thing about drums, but I know this part right here I want it to be like dooga dooga dooga, and like what I was saying before where it's like, you know, sometimes that's really annoying when like someone tries to be very specific and they have sort of like no knowledge of like whether this is actually a thing that someone can do or like it'll
Yeah.
work, like that can be
Mhm.
annoying. But sometimes when it's just like, oh, I want like a vague like Tom like centric, then that can be like, oh well, yeah, that's like that's a language I understand because like this is what we
Yeah.
do as drummers. Like, oh, you want like a dooga dooga jaga dooga dooga dooga. Yeah, I get it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. Like, so you like some songs you write. You have more hands on in the actual like the writing and the structure. How like how would you like describe like is that like something where you pick up a guitar and you're like, or do you is it sometimes there's a guitar and then you're like, after this like we should slow it down and break it down into like this kind of thing. Like what do those songs where you're coming in and it's a more collaborative thing, like how does that look?
Yeah. Yeah. With Bleeder specifically, like I'm gonna shout out Rose, our guitarist, because I love her and she's amazing. But the songs that I write are either like Sam, our bassist, or Rose will like have a riff and they're like, "Hey, I'm like messing around on this idea," and I'll be like, "Oh, okay, I've got like a bunch of ideas. Like nobody touch this. Hold on. Like give me a day. Let me let me come back with something." And I'll have like lyrics and a beat, and then I'll be like, because I don't play any other instruments. I sing, but I haven't learned any tonal instruments, which I've been meaning to pick up bass, but that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, so if I have like ideas for certain riffs, I'll usually just be able to like kind of sing them out to Rose, and she's able to just pretty much immediately like pick up on it and be like, "Oh, I know what you're saying. Okay, you're talking about this," and plays it out, and I'm like, "Oh my god, yes, that's exactly it."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, a lot of like vocal notation, or else just like working off like some different riffs. We have like a Google Drive with a bunch of iPhone recordings of like a ton of different stuff, and I'll be like, hey, like these two riffs I think could be in the same song and like two different sections, and I wrote these parts for them. Can you like try them out? And we'll like jam on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like the Notes app, like acapella. I I had a 7-inch that I specifically like I wrote the whole guitar parts like in my like voice recorder on my phone, and it was just like it was like do do din 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 din, and then like the next part like I did like all three songs that way, and I was
Hmm.
like, the what would be really funny is to like do a 7-inch like that where you like put the songs on one side and you put the like just the voice memos on the other side. And then I found out that like Fat Mike from NoFX did that at some point, so I was like, never mind. But
Nothing original in the world.
yeah, but I did think like, yeah, it would be funny at some point to just like have like so like a private YouTube video, or something that you just like show people like
Yeah.
when they buy the 7-inch, like this is funny, check this out. But also like very very self indulgent that people would waste their time listening to that. But it's I don't know, it's really interesting all the ways that like you can find to make music with people and like collaborate with people, and how like easy it is to like get ideas across. Like it certainly hasn't always felt like that to me. Like when I was younger and in bands and stuff, and I don't know if it was like you sometimes you play with people and there's egos involved, and I don't, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, do you have to be playing with people that you can trust, like won't turn this into a thing later where you'll never hear the end of it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, absolutely.
yeah, which I don't know, it's wild. Like I I don't know if that's just because like I came from some place where like my options were like really limited as far as like people to play with and stuff. But like I never talked to people on here, like only like one or two times out of like nearly 300 episodes where someone has been like not like where someone's been like, yeah, I just played with like whoever I could play with because like I didn't, and it genuinely like makes the it makes the experience of writing music with people like it takes it from this thing that's like it's like freeing in a way that like a lot of
Oh,
things in art aren't, and it turns it into this thing where it's just like, you know like I I felt a lot of times like where it was like I had all this pressure on me because I was worried that other people weren't going to think this thing I was going to show them was like good. And you know what I
yeah.
mean? So it's like, I don't know. It's weird when you think about some, like, I don't know if you have these, experiences personally, but sometimes, it's weird when you think like some formative experiences as me, like for me being in a band, like, damn, I really must have wanted to do this to keep going past like, a couple of really bad, like, sort of experiences where like what I was trying to do made me feel more ostracized and not like I was trying to make music to link with people and to connect with people and have this thing where like people could be like, "Oh, I have felt the same way," where it was like,
Hmm.
I don't know, sometimes you're just like, "Wow, I feel like even more by myself," but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Now it's just resulted in like more like insecurity and like uh yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely like has been the case before in previous stuff, especially like in high school and stuff. Then it was more so where if I wanted to play music, then I just needed to play music and I would do it with whoever, and it was pretty shitty experiences a lot of the time, of like with egos or whatever,
Hmm.
or people just like not even having the same taste. So it's just like hard to mesh well like that. But I don't know. It's kind of cool, like living here in Bloomington. I mean, like I talk a lot in my personal life about like God, there's so many students and and everything. But it's kind of great that there is like this constant influx of new people who have like a love for music, and like so I'm never at a loss for like finding people that I actually genuinely enjoy playing with, who like want to be doing the sort of thing that I want to be doing. And that's super cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, you know, there is that like it's weird too because like I'm up here in Lafayette and it's like there's like Purdue and there's IU and like people people from outside the state and stuff, they think these colleges and they think these areas like they almost like look at them like on a one-to-one like comparison, and if you've been either place for long enough, you realize like that couldn't be farther from the truth. It's like
Yeah.
Purdue does have like some really cool people here and everything. It's not, I'm not to say that like, but just like the like instances where like I've met people that I thought were cool, and I'm like, do you play music? And they're like, no. And I've like literally been like, well, we're gonna get you a bass guitar so you can play music because like,
Yeah. Well, you're
the,
gonna.
yeah, because it's like I would rather play with somebody that's like all about it and into the same stuff and like wants this to be a huge part of their life than someone who's like really good and I just don't click with, you know, like
Yeah.
you can be not that good in to me, like you can be not that good and just you can have the passion, you can be like all about it. And I'll play with you like 9 times out of 10 over the person that's like really good, but like they don't like the same stuff as me and they're just kind of doing it like just to do it,
Yeah.
you know, and like yeah, I don't know. But when I like when you first like hit me up and we started chatting about having this conversation and stuff, I mentioned like yeah, I had seen y'all's name a lot like playing with like friends bands and stuff like that, and I've been meaning to check y'all out. And so when I finally did, I'm like, I don't know, like I was describing y'all to my wife, and I was like, you know I don't know how to, like, I don't know what this band is going for. Like, and
Yeah.
that's not a bad thing at all. I don't mean like to make that sound like I'm being dismissive. Like, I actually find it like it refreshing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And before I say like, oh, this is kind of what I got from it, which is really weird, and my wife was like, what the what the hell? Like, that sounds wild. What do you think, like, as far as Bleeder goes? Like, what are y'all's like influences as far as like what you think, like, for fans of these bands you'll like Bleeder? Like, what, who would you compare yourselves to? Like, where these influences come from that
Yeah.
make y'all who you are?
Yeah, totally. I think that's like one of the things about Bleeders being so like hard to place is because it's like such a collaborative thing. All of us, at least on the EP that we have out, we're working on the new album, but all of us wrote songs for that EP, and all of us came from like very different backgrounds. So I think just that in and of itself is what kind of makes it really hard to place. But because I've heard some people like describing it to like Sonic Youth, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like I guess I guess I can see that in like some of the parts. Um, uh, and like Mannequin Pussy or things like that. I don't really know. I kind of honestly have a hard time like naming it, especially with the EP. Just because also like our sound has definitely changed. The new stuff that we have out is more of like I could put this into a niche. I could call this like queercore, like screamo inspired. It's definitely not screamo, but like our newer stuff is closer to that, or like closer to a hardcore sound. But yeah, originally with like the founding member who she moved to New York before we put the album out, but when everybody joins the band, it was because on the flyers that we all saw and like the conversations we had of like, let's start this band. It was basically like Talking Heads. We were like, we want to do like a Talking Head sort of thing. Which
Okay.
I don't really think that's how it ended up at all in the sound, but uh, yeah, it's just kind of just been a constant evolution because we have Bonnie, our vocalist, is more of like a pop punk and post hardcore listener. She's like a huge fan of like Pierce the Veil and MCR and stuff like that. And Rose, our guitarist, is I mean she probably has the most like varied musical inspirations, but she plays a lot of like Irish music, Irish folk music. Um, And like my background is like indie drumming, and I like listen to punk music and stuff. But this was my first time being in like a punk band or a band that called itself punk. Um, so yeah, a lot of just kind of coming from a bunch of different places. I don't know exactly what I would call it now, but our new music is much more like inspired by the stuff that I've been listening. We've all been sort of like listening together on new stuff, and the bands that we've played with a lot. Honestly, like uh, some of the new songs that I've written, I kind of think are super derivative of like Slog or Slut and Tint, and that I'm like, yeah, I've just been listening to these bands that I'm friends with, and I want to write a song like that, or
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah, what have you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the proliferation of like music sharing online has made like stuff like that like less influential, like, but that's how like all of these genres, like in niche like subgenres or whatnot, like that's how they all came to be, is like this
Yeah,
band came through your town and you played with them and you were like, holy shit, like I never heard anything like that. And the next week your band wrote a song coincidentally that sounded like that. And you might not even got a CD or a tape from that band, but like this new song is rubbed off from that. And like, and
yeah,
the next thing you know, there's these little pockets where these bands like, it's like, oh, like that's how the screamo scene like happened, like bands came through and it's like they played with these people, and the next time it was like, oh, my band like now kind of sounds like your band. Oh, I didn't even think about that, but it's like now your inspirations can come from any band all across the world, and you can have like we like the availability of like recording ourselves or having a friend that can record like
mhm,
is so widespread that like a band can have like a whole EP before they even play a show, so like you can have
mhm,
established this is what my band sounds like before, like you can decide your influences are this and you've done it before any kind of like other flavors get into the mix, and I don't know, it's made this really interesting like sort of like I don't think that those the way that like these influences, like when bands play together a lot, I don't think that that's like gone, but it's different now. And I don't know, I find it really interesting, like just like I was chatting with someone a while ago, and it was sort of similar to what you're saying. Is like they're like, yeah, we're really like sort of like a you know death metal-ish kind of like band, and then like all the bands we started playing with were screamo bands, and like so now we're like kind of like more like metal-y like screamo, and so this does still happen, but I don't know, it's a really interesting like way, like I don't know, like because it used to be like sort of a thing where if a band like changed a lot like during their thing, like people would think that was weird, but it happens all the time now, like, you know what I mean?
yeah. Now it's like every band that I listen to, almost, I'm like, oh, okay, like you listen to like two different albums that are like pretty far apart in years. It's like an entirely different group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, like I'm a bit older, so it's like the big thing that comes out, the big thing that pops up in my mind is like is is Jawbreaker to Jets to Brazil. People were like, "What?" Or like,
yeah,
excuse me, or like Gorilla Biscuits to Quicksand. People are like, "What?" And some bands like would change slightly, between, but it's like now that's just nothing. Like if a band came out and like, you know, one 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 really obvious like comparison now would be like For Your Health, right? Like their first 7-inch that I released, like it doesn't sound anything like that new album. And like
No,
nobody will
yeah.
bat an eye. People are like, yeah, I fuck with all of this. It's
Let me talk
cool.
about it. They're just like, great. Now we have two different albums that I can listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
both of these and get different sounds. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
I don't know, that's really cool. And like I'm really big on like, you know, anyway, I'm really big on like even if a band more or less sounds the same, I'm like I I don't like I don't want to hear the same album again. Like even if it's just
mhm.
like even if it's just like produced a little differently, I'm like, yeah, that's good. Cuz like I don't know. Like I think it's like
Variety is
probably
the spice of life or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And like especially because like we're we're like I don't know how many years are we into like in like punk now, like 50 years of punk or whatever, right? So like
Mhm.
you got to do something. You can't just keep like, you know, we can't just like keep being
Yeah.
like, nah, this is cool. Like this is the exact same thing from the same band. It's the exact same thing, and it's the exact same thing as the other band. Something's gotta give. But
Yeah.
I'll be another transporter, mixing dead meat grain. I'll be the patron saint of pathetic rage. I'm your whipping girl. Have you had enough? Make me bleed your sins. Yeah, I like it rough. Sacrifice my body to the cis machine. Worship at the altar of the straight regime. Put me in the spotlight, prop me up like your golden token queer. And then if I don't act right, cast me out, disappear. Every day's the same.
I was listening, and I was like, this is the Talking Heads thing does make sense to me because like
Mhm.
vocally I was like this reminds me a little bit of like Pansy Division in just like that it's excitable but it's like it's dry in a way too. I don't know if that makes sense. And so when it gets to where she's like doing like the screaming or whatever, you're like, "Oh, this is like it it just hits that much harder because like a lot of it is like it feels very matter of fact or whatever."
Yeah.
And then there was like this thing that was happening where when I was like trying to feel out what I thought the guitars reminded me of, where like it was like I feel like this is like if if the guitar player for the Mars Volta was like, I want to make a band that sounds like the Dead Milkmen. Like I don't know. That's
Yeah.
probably like, and that's what my wife was like. That is the wildest comparison I've ever heard. But it's like, there's like this really sort of like punky, like surfy, like almost like vibe to like
Yeah.
some of the main riffs, but then they just get on these wild, like almost leads, and they'll have like, like a bit of delay and just like some cool effects. And so I'm like, yeah, like that. I don't know. It just kind of like goes all over the place, but it never just like jumps the shark or what, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. So like, I don't even know if any of that is like, something that anybody would even consider like being like an influence or whatever. But I was just like, I don't know, like I can't place this, but like I'm feeling this like really like sort of like not like not like happy because like especially when you're like hearing the lyrics, you're like, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
that. But the guitars like just have this bouncy like jovial quality, and then all of a sudden it's like well, wait, this is getting kind of like prog, and I don't know, it's really cool,
Oh
but
yeah.
like, I don't know. Um,
Yeah, no, I definitely really like that specific sort of thing of like, uh really angry, direct, like on the nose lyrics, with like a really, yeah, like bouncy, happy sounding guitar kind of thing. There's a new song that we're coming out with that, like on the third verse, like outro, when it's like kind of at its crescendo of like, like shouting like the fuck you type of thing. And then the guitar just changes out from like this sort of like uh, minor sort of discordant into like this really happy couple of chords during that part. And yeah, I really like that type of juxtaposition there of like, yeah.
yeah, I don't know, it's a really good juxtaposition, and it it makes like I don't know, it makes the lyrics like cut a little harder too. You know, it makes them like
Yeah,
they feel like they're really. It's like when everything is like dialed up to 11, and it's just like then it's like you know like you're like sometimes like I'll be cutting like a vocal, and I'm like screaming like the like like this is as much as I could be torturing my vocal cords right now, but I'm like, it doesn't feel like it's enough because like
yeah,
everything else is like also like it's like super distorted and blasty and and whatever. And so like yeah, I don't know, that's why like sometimes like you know a a really like staple sort of like element of screamo is like sort of like the clean like sad sounding guitars with the screaming, because you're like, oh, like because everything else sounds like this, then the screaming sounds like super intense and like super strained.
yeah,
And so it's kind of the same thing, like it's like this sounds like happy, and it's like, wow, like this is super pissed, and like the lyrics are like really heavy and scathing, in a way that's like everything benefits that combined delivery.
hmm,
You said that like you've been working on an LP, a new album, but like you mean like LP then? Like
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'll hopefully have like we're still sort of writing it. We're getting in the studio next month, but so it'll hopefully be like 9 or 10 tracks. So yeah, LP.
yeah.
Um, but I'm really excited for that one. Because a lot of the times, like and definitely in no way am I like unhappy with the EP that's out. Like I definitely really like that music, and I really love like how it sounds production wise and everything. But when I show it to people who like don't live around us, who aren't able to come to any shows, I'm like, yeah, I'm in this band, and like here's the EP, but like that's not really what we sound like anymore.
Yeah.
um, but so yeah, so I'm excited for the new stuff to be able to be like, yeah, this is more what it's like if you're at one of our shows.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, I think kind of especially really funny with the friends that we've made, with the bands that we play with, of being like, like seeing our name on the bill, and being like, oh, okay, you're playing with like a full screamo bill, and then bleeders on there, or like
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I just with a name like that, I sort of expected like, I was like, oh, this band's probably like pretty chuggy and stuff, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is like quite a surprise, but like a good surprise. But um on the
Yeah.
new
You know what? Our guitarist and bassist both have gone on record saying that they hate chugging.
yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
I've I've done projects before where like the guitar player like will do a chugging part, and like I'm really I don't know, like my band has like literally like 250 songs like recorded,
Yeah.
and and you could probably put the chugging parts on like one hand, maybe even like on
Mhm.
just three finger. I can't think of that many, right?
Yeah.
But like I've been in bands before where like the guitar player will like bust out some chuggy part and like and just be like, "Oh, that's corny," and I have to like fight to like keep it because I'm like, "No way, that sounds
You're like,
sick!"
no, no,
Like,
no, no.
and yeah, because it can. There's so much of like it's like there's so much of art where it's like the the ideas are like nothing anymore. You know, they're nothing.
Mhm.
Like especially like in like writing. You know, it's like everybody's like an idea is nothing. Like somebody be like, oh, I have a great idea for a story. Like an idea is shit. It's like it doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. 100 people have had that idea already. It's all about the execution, you know, and so
Yeah.
that's the way I
Yeah.
feel about
Exactly.
chugging. You know, it's like, yeah, if you're you can tell when a band has made that their entire personality and you're like, yeah, this sucks, you know? But like when it's like executed well, then you're like, no, this is fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. That's something that I've been trying to do with like some of the new stuff that I'm currently writing or like have written where especially like speaking for myself because I've this year I think I've gotten like especially into like metalcore really
Hmm.
just like as a listener and so I'm like, oh, like, we should have this song that's like, this sort of like bouncy, airy, happy kind of thing, but we should have like a really short breakdown that goes into like these chugs and has like this, like,
Yeah.
um,
Like get ignorant for a
right at the end
second.
of it, like ideas and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like on this LP, like did you like I was listening to the EP and like everybody gets a solo except for you. Do you get a are you going to have a drum solo? We need a drum
Um,
solo
yeah,
in screamo or screamo adjacent. Like there's none that I know of.
yeah, yeah, no, definitely. That's what's missing.
Yeah,
Um,
like I mean, sometimes you get into the studio and sometimes it's just like there's just something that we need one thing that's going to tie this whole thing together. And I'm just saying it could be a drum solo. You never know.
yeah, yeah. Well, there are so, so there are like two songs. One of them has like a sort of drum solo. Although what's really funny about that one is that it's the one that our vocalist wrote, and since she's also a drummer, she doesn't drum like in the band, but
Hmm.
like that's her background. So she was like, "Oh, hey, I wrote this song, and I want there to be a drum solo, and like here's my idea for the drum solo."
Oh, hell
Um,
yeah.
so there's that one, and then there's another one that's kind of like I it's the one that like most people film. I don't know why it is, but like whenever somebody puts us on our story after a gig, it's like always this one song. But in like the third verse of it, it's sort of like this D beat, sort of like straightforward fast punk type of thing. And the second verse is like a bunch of like trade off between the guitar and the drums, like trading twos kind of
Okay.
for like a little bit. So yeah, there's like elements of a drum solo, but I don't know that there's like a long extended me really going off on the kid or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Cause like
Yeah.
cause on the EP, the guitars definitely have their moments. And even I was listening and I was like, holy shit, hold on. We have like a bass solo going here. Like, I
Yeah.
can't remember
Yeah.
what song, but I was like, we have a bass solo. Like the guitar is just like sort of hitting a note and feeding back. And the bass is like, nope, that's a bass solo. We're riffing. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was a fun one. That was Power Chip. I wrote the lyrics for that one. But Sam, our bassist, had come up with like the whole melody and was like, I really want to do a bass solo. And we are all like, yeah, fucking do it. Go off. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. So I was like, I think that was like closer to the end of the EP. And then I'm like, yeah, are we gonna like, there's still time for a drum solo in here, but it didn't happen. So maybe with the LP, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But
Oh, after this conversation wraps up, I'll go write like a full just drum song.
that'd be like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I, I always like, I always like I always say like that the cool thing about drums is like you don't even have to be good at playing the drums. You just have to be able to replicate what you do, you know? Like does that
Mhm.
make sense? So like
Yeah,
it's
you have to be able to like do it more than once.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Cause like if you like even if your timing wasn't good, like if somehow your timing was bad, but it was like bad in the same spots all the time. You know what I mean? That would still work.
Yeah.
Is my point.
Yeah, that's like the thing of like recovering on drums is like, oh man, like I really fumbled and fell off this beat here, but like, wait, what if I cut out that beat again here and like repeat it, and then it's actual thing because I'm repeating it and it sounds
Yeah.
good now because it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so like I'm always like, you know, like you could write like at any skill level, you could write a drum solo. And as long as you could play it, as long as you could replicate it, like and as long as it was like consistent, like that'd be fine. But like I've always been like I want to write something like I want to write like some kind of sort of like intermission in an album where it's like just drums and I
Oh
just
yeah.
don't I'm just like I don't have the like courage. And also like I don't like I I definitely like when I'm behind the drum set I'm definitely am like I have to do all these things the same way every time or I'll like get lost. So like it makes sense that I would be able to do that. Like I'd be able to be like two times this many times this, here. Like it makes sense that I'd be able to map this out like in this way. But like also like I'm just like sometimes like I'm just like so severely anxious that I'm like okay, like I want to snap back into like what I'm comfortable with, like as soon as possible, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. That definitely is something I can relate to. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially like playing live. I think like that's one of my like favorite things. I think that I get way more fulfillment out of that versus like writing songs or being in the studio or anything. Like I love playing live, but then yeah, I'm like uh, in Bleeder or in like other projects when people are like, okay, yeah, and then you should like just take a solo here, and they'll just turn to me and be like, okay, yeah, play something, and I'm like, oh god.
And that was my conversation with Sophie from Bleeder. Thank you so much, Sophie, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Until next time, take care and do good things.